how do you justify being off for the next 2 weeks? We're 45 days in. Can Democrats and Republicans keep affording to play this blame game?
You know well that we're not off. We're working every day in our home states. For most of us, this is when we have the time to go up and down our state and to meet with our constituents and listen to their concerns.
But people aren't getting paid, sir, so don't you owe...
Let me finish.
CBS News correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns is live on Capitol Hill. Caitlin, we thought this was going to be settled last week. Walk us through what happened to prompt some of that push-pull with our Nicole Killian of CBS News in the halls of Congress.
That's right, Reed. I mean, the standoff continues. This is now the longest DHS shutdown in history, and there appears, at least at this point, no end in sight. So what happened last week was the Senate came up with an agreement and essentially passed it, and the House decided not to take it up. Instead, the House wants a 2-month clean extension of Department of Homeland Security funding. That, of course, is a non-starter. And so here we are at this impasse, and it's significant because the deal that the Senate cut was spearheaded by Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and House Speaker Mike Johnson, also a Republican, kicked that out of the chamber, did not take it up. And so there is this kind of fracture within the Republican Party at this point in terms of how to proceed. Meanwhile, the president has rearranged some funding to pay TSA workers, which is a welcome development, obviously, but there are other agencies within DHS that are not getting paid. FEMA, Coast Guard, cybersecurity agents. This is a huge impasse for a huge agency. And Reed, you know, for the average American watching this and those who have been traveling at airports and witnessing a lot of this firsthand, it doesn't make much sense that Congress leaves town for 2 weeks on a recess without having finished the job. In no other industry would that be something that was acceptable. I posed that exact question to a Republican congressman who was up here today for a pro forma session about why Congress can't get it together. Take a listen. Why does it feel like there's no sense of urgency here when people are really struggling?
I completely agree. I think people are struggling. And it's not just TS agents, so people are just trying to move across the country right now. Because of the political games that get played sometimes. But DHS should have been the thing we passed first, because it's such a vital interest to our country. And again, I'm optimistic that given our strong stance, and again, this town is so familiar with CRs. Why can't the Democrats go along and just fund this short term in order to allow this pressure to be released? To your point, people have every right to be frustrated, but let's not forget, this is the deal is cut if the Democrats will just give us that 60 vote threshold and actually have a vote.
But they say that the Senate already came to a deal, that your Republican colleagues over there already came to an agreement, and then the House didn't pass it.
Well, I think that what is very clear is if you looked at the fine print, when I've talked to senators over the weekend and they saw that they would gut DHS, they realized that this is something they didn't want to either.
So, as you can see, Reed, a lot of finger pointing going on both sides. Republicans blaming Democrats, Democrats blaming Republicans. Remember, at the heart of this, Democrats had said at the beginning they're not going to support long-term funding for the agency unless there were reforms to ICE. And the deal that was struck by the senators on the Senate side that they passed through that chamber last week, that included funding the rest of the agency and supporting ICE through the One Big Beautiful Bill measure that had passed last year. So we are at a standstill. It's not clear whether Congress will be called back into session to figure this out. But right now, they're at home in their districts. And that's what I'm wondering, Reed, too, whether there is enough constituent reaction here to kind of prompt some kind of coming together.
That's right. Always important to go back to their districts and hear from the people who put them in power in the first place. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much for the pushback there in the halls of Congress asking those follow-up questions.